ADVTRES, and this video is going to cover part 1 of our Death Valley overlanding adventure over the Thanksgiving break. Now, we started in the southernmost portion of Death Valley, going through Ballarat, hugging the edge or kind of around Manly Peak, and then up to Goler Wash and Mengel Pass. And you can see the kind of side road hugs along the mountainside, and then you get, this is kind of looking easternly, and then you can see the entrance into Goler Wash. And there's actually a good little place to air down here or air up, depending on which way you're going. And when I went into the canyon, I was about 25 psi. And actually the road going into Goler Wash is, kind of rocky, but overall pretty good. And I think it took us from Ballarat to Goler Wash maybe 35-40 minutes to travel that distance. And then once you're in the canyon, it's super dramatic, lots of things to look at, and there's quite a few old mines and old building sites and cool geology to look at. So to do this loop from Goler Wash over to Butte Valley, I would say at least give yourself 3 hours to do it. Now, one of the first obstacles you're going to hit is what I'll call the waterfall. It was actually really well graded when we got there, and you're coming up to it because you'll start to see the water on the road as you're making your approach. And at this point, and actually it was pretty well graded. I've seen some other videos where it was a lot more dramatic. There were really just a couple deep pits or holes in it, which I think if you were riding a stock vehicle would probably cause you problems. Alice has a 3-inch lift, though she's running stock size tires, and she really didn't have any problem going over this. And really for the first obstacle coming into the canyon, it was like a good little warm-up. But what I will say is the canyon, when you're driving through it, it's kind of rocky, so I would also highly recommend having good tires. I think I'm running the Nito Ridge Grapplers, and I'm so thankful I did for the entire trip. And as you're going through the canyon, you can see some, old mine sites, old building sites, so that's why I say 3 hours is probably a good estimate on how long it's going to take if you stop and look at some of the sites. And as you can kind of see here, there's lots of little side roads, so really just kind of stick to your left. If you see these side roads, there's the Keystone mine, the Sourdough Spring. If you take that, that'll take you down to the Barker Ranch. So it is a really cool historical place, historical ranch. Been there a long time if you're totally not into all that Charles Manson stuff, which we weren't. Now, the next obstacle you're going to hit once you kind of officially enter Death Valley is this limestone or chalk hill. It is pretty daunting, or at least it was for me, because I'm new to off-roading. And I didn't know it at the time, but it looks like if you can bail on that. So if you get to it and you're like, oh, I'm not sure about this, hike that side road and see if that's an easier route around this kind of limestone or chalk ledge. And actually, there's quite a bit of what I'll call off camber, some big dips getting up to the ledge. So I know I've seen videos of people with outbacks and things. I just wouldn't feel comfortable damaging my car to that extent. And Alice really, you see this side's kind of like, Alice really handled this quite well. And I had actually watched a couple of YouTube videos, recent videos before I went up, that had done it. And I'm glad I did, because in one of the videos, when the driver hit the obstacle, they kind of bridged it with both tires, and you'll see in the video that worked really well. I can't stress enough, I'll probably do a really short video on just being prepared for Death Valley, because I can't stress enough. Now, we were solo on this, so we didn't go with a big train of other drivers, so I was super cautious, and you can even see it here on the approach to this obstacle. And what I like about this one is, you know, my husband's kind of directing me, and I don't know how everybody is with their spotters, but anyway, so he's kind of directing me, but I knew I was lined up, and he was giving me good direction. But after that, I just put my eyes on the tip of that mountain and just aimed for it, because I couldn't see anything, and went over it like a breeze. So as I was saying, be sure, if you're planning a longer overlanding adventure in Death Valley, even if you're doing Goler Wash and Mangle Pass, just have good tires. I can't stress enough how proud and happy I am with the Nitto tires. They did exceptionally and gave me really good peace of mind. So after you get over the rock ledge, you're gonna kind of drop into the valley. There's a couple little rock obstacles on the way, and it's super picturesque, very beautiful, and it kind of lulls you in to this false sense of serenity and security, because after the limestone ledge, you're gonna hit a few more obstacles. And these aren't that bad to what you'll hit after you get over Mangle Pass. So the first one is kind of this little rock technical. It's just kind of navigating through some rather large rocks. There is kind of a detour around some of the, what I'll say, tougher ones. And you can see here, with my husband spotting me, right, you just kind of have to cherry pick your way through these rocks. And again, with Alice's setup, we didn't, you know, hit anything we couldn't do. It was just very time consuming, very tedious, kind of getting through the rocks without, you know, doing any damage. And there are quite a few sections of this, which you can kind of see in Google Earth, right? You know, there's kind of a tight off-camber section. And then as you go up and see, you can see, you know, more rocks and boulders that you kind of have to pick your way through. And it takes time, right? At least for me, right? I'm a new driver. I don't want to damage my rig. This was the start of the holiday. I'm being super careful, trying to, you know, learn the lines and how best to navigate some of these, what I'll call more technical obstacles. And really, after the kind of chalk wall or limestone wall, whatever it is, the obstacles are not, you know, they're not, you know, overly daunting. But again, the rocks are very sharp. You have to be careful that you know you don't fall off of anything. You really need to take your time, pick your line, make sure your tires are aired down to get to them. But it wasn't anything that I felt was outside my own capabilities. And the thing, you know, this is in November, so we got to Goler Wash entrance. And again, I'm not a super experienced driver, so I was taking it really easy, right? There was one Jeep that went flying past me. I don't know, go you. But we got to Goler Wash entrance, I think around 2:30, and I don't think got to Butte until maybe 4. So, but we didn't also go to Barker Ranch, and we didn't like go check out Keystone Mine, and there's a lot of really cool things to see there. So I know if you're doing more sightseeing, taking more photos, getting more hero shots of your rig, plan enough time, because the absolute last thing you want to do is, and you can see the sun's getting low here, is to be driving through this at night. And I also, you know, it's funny because I think it was our second, well, probably not funny for the people, but our second night in Butte Valley, you can see where we were camped, you can see all the way down the valley. It was beautiful, right? And I think Tuesday night I could see a car, and it might have been 7:38. I could see a car coming down the road towards us, right towards the geologist cabin. And I was like, man, and the road going out of Butte Valley is it's not a super technical road, but it's super rocky, tons of sharp rocks. And I think it took us maybe, I want to say, an hour from, say the geologist cabin out to the better road outside of Butte Valley. But anyway, I see this car coming. I'm like, man, it's late, and I wouldn't want to be driving that road in the night. And then in the morning, I could see that they had chosen the better part of Valor and had just camped in the center of the valley instead of try to continue that road at night. There's just so many obstacles that, even with good lights, can lead to things looking deceptive. And again, here's just some more video of, it's like after you get out of that chalk, you just start hitting these little rock pockets, or maybe where there were sandbars or gravel bars, or the rocks that kind of rolled down. And it's just kind of tedious picking your way through it, making sure you don't damage anything. So after you kind of get through all that, you get up to Mangle Pass, and you're like, yeah, we did it, we made it to Mangle Pass. Oh, the worst is behind us. And then we look all happy, and you take your hero shots. Well, it's not over. Actually, I think for me, after passing Mangle Pass is when things really started to get more technical. And I think probably the reason for that is, you're at least, we were going downhill. Now, my husband seems to think coming uphill would be easier. I'm on this school that I think going downhill is easier. But the boulder picking and the actual boulders and rocks that you need to go over seem to get bigger, and then the pits or ruts that are created around them seem to get more extreme. So after you get out of Mengel Pass, just know that you have a couple more what I'll call technical sections to get through before you can actually, have clear sailing into Butte Valley. So you made it past Mengel. There's kind of, and you can actually see it on Google Earth too. There's another kind of what I'll call a rock technical. You kind of have to pick your way through it. And, it's always funny because I watched some of the YouTube videos of people going through Mangle Pass, and I was like, man, it doesn't look too bad. And then even me watching the video now, I'm like, man, that doesn't look too bad. But I don't know what it is. I think it's like video deception. When you're actually there with your rig looking at it, you get a sense of, wow, that hole is actually 2 feet deep, and that rock is actually sticking up a foot, and it's 2.5 feet wide, right? So, whatever you're seeing in the video, kind of mentally expand it, because it is a little bit more technical than I think even the video lets you see. Honestly, I think, you have to do like the archaeologists do, and like take a photo with like a ruler next to it and a coffee cup, to actually put some perspective on this. And this is kind of, again, picking your way through the rocks, trying to not to do damage to your rig. Again, I'm not, a rock crawler. Alice isn't set up for rock crawling, but we did it. And then after you make it through these next kind of what I'll call more rock technical, pick your way, and you can kind of see it where those locations are on Google Earth. So I would say from Goler Wash, not including the waterfall, there's about 6 places before you get into the vastness and beauty of the valley that you'll need to do some rock picking, technical rock maneuvers. So if you're planning to do the southern route, again, give yourself enough time to get through Goler Wash and Mangle Pass. Know going into it that it's going to take you anywhere from 2 to even up to 4 hours if you're going to see all this stuff. So give yourself enough daylight time so you're not stuck in the dark trying to navigate this. And just know that, like we didn't hit anything that Alice couldn't handle on our own. So just take your time, you'll get through it all, but just know that there's several technical places, besides maybe the one or two that you see in some of the other videos. Well, that's it for part 1. Look for part 2 and probably part 3 where we go explore the rest of the park. Until then, see you down the trail.